Plaintiff Gregory Atkins is suing his former friend, Amanda Walton, for unpaid rent and bills. Gregory says the defendant didn't approve of his relationship with his boyfriend because of his race, but Amanda says the reason she didn't like the plaintiff's boyfriend was because he's a registered sex offender, and she felt uncomfortable when he moved in, so she left.
Gregory Atkins is suing Amanda for unpaid rent, unpaid bills, and court costs. And Gregory, why don't you tell us why you're suing Amanda?
Your Honor, I met Amanda in the first grade. We've been best friends for the past 18 years. We've done everything together, pretty much been inseparable. Last year, her family relocated and went to another state, and my grandparents allowed her to stay with our family. And they didn't charge her rent. She didn't have to wash her clothes. They provided hot food. And that's where she stayed. 6 months into that, we decided...
You stayed with his grandparents?
I did.
Okay. Why'd you stay with them?
My family moved to West Virginia, and at that time, I did not want to relocate to West Virginia with them.
And where were you living at the time?
I lived there as well.
Oh, okay. And so you're pals since first grade?
Right.
How old are you now?
24.
Okay, so 19 years you know each other, huh? You're 24?
24.
Okay, all right.
About 6 months after that, we decided to move into our own place.
Are you having a relationship?
No.
No.
We've just been best friends.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to move into our own place, and in February of 2008, we signed a lease. We co-signed a lease together, and everything was going great. And then she started having personality changes, strange sleeping habits. She would be up for a day or two at a time, sleep, just withdrawn, didn't hang out with our mutual friends, and I suspect that she was using cocaine, as the person that she did identify with was a known cocaine addict. And actually,
You using coke?
No, I am not. And my friend is not a cocaine addict. She does cocaine, but I don't think that makes her an addict. And just because
Well, how do you know what level you get from a user to an addict?
I would call once a month not being an addict. That's my opinion, but I don't use it at all. Just because I'm friends with her doesn't.
What do you mean she had strange sleeping habits?
she would be up for 24 hours or longer at a time, and then she would sleep whole days at a time, the entire day, from the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and just wake up.
No, it is not. When I sleep a lot, but when I would go visit my family in West Virginia, I would just stay up later. And then when I'd come back, I'd be up for 24 hours just because I had a rough time adjusting to the sleep habits. I sleep a lot. I was on a different sleeping schedule.
Okay.
I was never...
Go ahead.
Prior to moving in, the person that I am dating, I started dating him prior to when we moved in, and she comes from a very racist family, and I think that kind of set us apart a little bit too, because I never had her full approval of us being together.
The guy that you're with?
Yes.
Because he's a guy?
No, because he's black.
Okay. You have trouble with his black boyfriend?
No, I don't.
Why do you say that she does?
Because I say that because when her family was coming to visit, she asked me if I could not have them come to our apartment while they were there.
Why?
No, when we moved in, I asked if either of our families would stay, that we wouldn't have a significant other staying there also.
That's not true.
That's not true?
That's not true, right?
That's what I was under the perception.
Did you have a significant other?
No.
So then what difference does it make if yours doesn't, because you don't have one?
Well, if I were dating someone.
Go ahead.
Okay, so after that, we each bought our own food, and then she started eating my food. It just kept happening and happening, so I confronted her. And that's when a lot of the problems started. For 2 weeks straight, she would hibernate in her room. She wouldn't even come out to go to the bathroom if I was sitting in the living room. She'd wait till my bedroom door would close at night before she'd even go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you lived at his grandparents. Why are you eating his food now?
I didn't realize that it was a big deal.
Well, did you then at least say to him, what's the problem, Gregory?
I did ask him. He left me a note about this. He didn't actually address me. He left me a note, and I left him one also, and I offered to pay for it, and he said, that's not the point. You should just ask for it. And from then on, I didn't eat anything of his. I didn't drink anything of his.
Okay. All right. What about his boyfriend? What's your boyfriend's name?
Trey.
Trey? All right. Did you have any kind of relationship with Trey?
No, I didn't have any relationship with him at all. He was
what?
He stayed there with Greg a lot. I mean, we all lived in the same apartment. We interacted, but I didn't have any relationship outside of
Okay.
being in the
Your Honor,
apartment.
wouldn't you call going to the bar with us a relationship? She would come out with us sometimes.
All right. All right. So that's fine. All right. So why are we here?
Because after that, she neglected to pay her bills. For a while, I wasn't getting any notices from the cable company, the electric company, and come to find out, in her room, she had been taking mail that was addressed to me and hiding it in her room because she hadn't been paying her portion of the bill.
Well, don't you join money and then send a check? What are you talking about? Utility companies, stuff like that?
Well, the way that we did it was I have mine set up on bill pay on the computer. So I would just look and then just submit my payment through the computer. And then
So then you have no way of knowing whether she's making the payments.
Right.
Were you making payments?
I was. Most times they were late, though.
Why?
I just, honestly, I don't manage money very well, and I forget. I just forget things like that. It is completely my fault.
At some point, did you move out?
Yes.
Why?
I moved out because we weren't speaking. I didn't feel comfortable.
Why weren't you comfortable?
Because we were arguing over food, and I find out that his boyfriend is a registered
Your Honor,
sexual
that's irrelevant
offender.
to the entire case.
What did you just say?
His boyfriend is a registered sexual offender. And
How do you know that?
Because he told me.
Who?
Gregory told me.
Did you tell her your boyfriend's a
I
registered
never
sex
told
offender?
her that. But I mean, it's on a website, but that's completely irrelevant.
No. I'll decide what's relevant. I'll decide. It's on a website?
It is.
It was proven in court that the boy had lied about his age.
When did you find out the guy was a sex offender? Before or after you said, if our parents come, let's not have our significant others be at the house, in spite of the fact that you didn't have a significant other and knew you were only talking about his significant other?
It was after.
After?
After.
Say dumb answer, but thank you for the truth. Go ahead.
Okay, also, not only did she fail to pay some of her bills, some of the checks that she did pay were written with bad checks, which I
Prove
do.
it.
Okay, in here I have from our leasing office with 3 eviction notices that we received, none of which I seen until she left. When
did you leave? Amanda, when did you leave?
October 4th.
All right, October 4th. Did you owe any rent before then?
I did.
Okay, so how much do you think you owe him?
I owed for late fees and for the utilities that the checks were written. I didn't know that they were bad checks. I didn't do that intentionally. I don't.
But if you don't know how much money's in your account, who's supposed to know?
I have 2 accounts and I get them
Can't keep them.
confused.
Why don't you merge them? That way you'll, it's easier.
I should.
All right, so what are you suing her for?
Altogether, $2,679.
And that's for what? Rent, cable, electric, and what else?
And that's all.
Okay, let's see, what do you have?
These right here, the first one is the 3 eviction notices with a copy of a bad check.
Did you purposely not show him the eviction notices, Amanda? Thank you, Jimmy.
I got the eviction notices and I walked over there and paid them that day. I didn't find them relevant. I probably should have.
When was that? This is dated June 4th.
And there's one that was dated for October. When she left the apartment, we had a 3-day eviction notice. I had 3 days to move, and I had no idea.
What's your defense?
About the eviction notices? Or
No, about
entire
the fact
case?
that you walked out on the lease, apparently, and that you were late. There are late fees. There's an eviction. The guy's got 3 days to move out. I mean, nobody needs a roommate like you. Why'd you move out?
I moved out because I felt uncomfortable there. I felt uncomfortable with his boyfriend living there, with his friends coming there, staying there. They come in there late. They're loud.
Your Honor, that's not true.
What did she say about your boyfriend?
She would hang out with us. She would sit and talk to him. She would have dinner with us if we cooked food and offered her food. She would sit there.
And when you told her he's a registered sex offender, did her behavior or attitude change?
Nothing.
You worried about this guy?
No. I'm not.
Are you still with him?
Yes.
Okay, whatever. And are you sure that, did you disapprove of him because of his color or because of his sex offense
No, I don't
status?
disapprove of him. I don't disapprove of anyone at all. I don't disapprove of him because of his race. I don't disapprove of him because of his sex. I disapprove that he's a sex offender and that he's living in our apartment unregistered.
All right, so why didn't you report that to the landlord?
Because I didn't want this to get legal. I didn't want to do anything.
Get legal? You're getting your tail sued for not paying the rent on time and for being evicted. You don't want it to get legal?
Well, I understand that, but I tried not to get to this point, and it just didn't work out.
All right, is there a letter here? Is there some evidence that you want to show me?
The only letters that I do have is just where she wrote notes stating that she was going to pay October and the late fees. And then she said, if you're moving out with me, moving out, I don't care about the money, period.
Thank you. Don't worry about Aaron taking over the lease. I can see things aren't getting better, so I'll leave. You can find someone else to live with you because I can't. I'll pay October and late fees. P.S. I like the alarm as is, so get over it. Let me ask you a question. There, in your statement to the court, you say, I was worried about how Greg's relationship could jeopardize his career. He works as a teacher, and I'm sure there are rules about having a sex offender living with him. I am sure that the parents in that school wouldn't be thrilled if they heard the news.
Number one, he doesn't even live with me. He has his own apartment, his own place. He maybe stays 2 or 3 nights a week.
Why are you commenting on his status as a teacher and just very subtly suggesting that if the parents found out that he'd be in trouble? You know this is a threat. You know that, right?
I understand. Because he himself told me that he couldn't have someone like a registered sex offender living with him. He told me that.
That's not true. How would I know that?
You're a teacher. You should know that. All right. Look, it is undisputed that the parties lived together and they were friends and they signed a lease. It is likewise undisputed that the defendant moved out before the lease was terminated. It's also undisputed that the defendant didn't pay the utility bills on time. She didn't pay the rent on time. She's bouncing checks. As a result, the plaintiff gets a 3-day notice that, he's got to move. Now, he need only prove his damages, which he has to the court, and the defendant's defense is without merit. The fact that he may be dating a convicted sex offender is not something that she can then use as an excuse to move out when she actually socialized with the guy. And what concerns me most here is that, when she says, even though she doesn't have a significant other, listen, when my parents come over, don't have your friend come over. This was about race. This was about his being gay. She admitted herself that she didn't know that he was a sex offender until after she made the statement to his parents to him about not having her parents meet the guy. It was about his being African American or gay. Either way, it's bad, bad stuff. You've got to understand that, we don't live in a world where people are allowed to discriminate. They're not. You have to pay your bills. You have to be a law-abiding citizen. If this guy has problems, the guy that he's dating, those are his problems. And you could have taken it up with the landlord. You could have had them make sure that he never visited there again, or the landlord could have taken some action. But you had no right to move out on him. Therefore, the verdict is for the plaintiff in the amount he asked for, $2,679. Stop discriminating.